don't know about you, but it really feels as though the misinformation on social media is just becoming more and more prevalent and also more and more kind of scary, to the point where you genuinely don't know what to believe. And there really is so much of it that you get to a point where you think, is it even worth debunking anymore? Because frankly, the people that actually take the time to read the evidence, understand the science behind topics surrounding fitness, end up wasting a hell of a lot more time and energy than those people that just run around saying whatever they like, making completely unsubstantiated claims do. So it kind of feels like you're fighting a losing battle a lot of the time. But what I wanted to make today's video about was how these pieces of misinformation and frankly, lies are literally changing the way that women approach fitness, and not for the better. And as much as it's something that is getting worse, in my opinion, it's been around for decades. The fitness industry, the beauty industry, the wellness industry as a whole has always profited from selling women half-truths and also preying on insecurities. So I quite literally could have picked hundreds that I have seen just in recent years, but I'm going to pick the top 6 that seem to be doing the rounds at the minute that I think are most important for you to understand. Number 1 is cycle syncing. So you will see everywhere nowadays that there are health coaches or fitness coaches, whether they're qualified or not is another thing, genuinely don't know, promoting the idea of needing to sync your training schedule to a certain stage in your menstrual cycle. Quite literally giving you a dogmatic protocol that you should be following in your follicular phase, in your luteal phase, in your menstrual phase, during ovulation. And I would say the overwhelming majority of the time, that kind of cycle syncing approach looks a little bit like yoga, Pilates, walking, stretching during that late luteal and bleed phase. And then apparently you're allowed to go in and lift heavy, but only during your follicular and ovulation stages. Now, this to me is not only frankly annoying, because it's literally based on no evidence that I'm aware of. In fact, the research that we do have suggests that there are little to no changes in either strength output or muscle protein synthesis across your menstrual cycle. Now, that is not to say that if you feel like you literally need to be curled up in a ball on the sofa, that you have no excuse and you should get yourself to the gym. Quite the opposite. But physically, biologically, there is no hard and fast rule or reason as to why you should be avoiding any particular types of exercises during a certain stage in your menstrual cycle. Your cycle should inform your training. If you know that you feel weaker on any given day, absolutely pull things back. If you know that you are frankly not up to training at all, again, take a rest day. But giving yourself these hard and fast rules because some influencer told you to, without any research backing that up as to why that's a good idea, is not only holding you back from reaching your goals, but it's also honestly dangerous. We are essentially telling women that they are not allowed to be training in any meaningful muscle building fashion for half of their reproductive years. That's what we're saying. And seeing as you have the most potential to build muscle and bone density in your 20s, 30s, 40s, that seems mad. And I don't know if you've seen this, but there are also nutritional protocols that you apparently need to be following at certain stages of your menstrual cycle. Again, any kind of advice that is blanketed across the board for every single woman should be taken with a grain, and I mean a grain of salt, because everybody experiences their menstrual cycle differently. It is completely individual from person to person. So it quite literally makes no sense whatsoever to be following something as prescriptive as what you're seeing online. Number 2, if you train and eat like me, you'll look like me. This might be one of the most damaging messages that we're seeing on social media, because honestly, people just lie. People just lie. We literally have people out there who have had a BBL, undergone dangerous and invasive surgery in order to enhance their glutes, that are then selling glute workout programs off of the back of that. It's about as disingenuous as it gets. Also, if you're consuming a lot of bodybuilding content online, you have to know that a lot of these athletes are on or have been on performance enhancing drugs in order to get the kind of physique that means they're stage ready. Some people, and absolute props to them, are incredibly honest and open about that. I love the transparency. Others, however, are not. And then there's also the aspect of genetics. I've always tried to be really clear about the fact that I am naturally a slim person. I have never struggled with my weight. I don't have a family history of obesity. So, as much as I'm really considered about what I eat, I'm really intentional about moving my body regularly, there is a genetic factor at play as to why I have the physique that I have, why I'm already fairly slim, fairly lean. Don't get me wrong, I work really hard, but it's also important that you know the degree to which genetics can play a factor. We often see this with abs and with glutes. Again, particularly for women, when we think about where body fat is generally held, it usually happens from kind of the navel down in that lower body, lower abdomen, thighs, glutes. Everybody stores body fat differently. Their natural fat distribution is going to look pretty different. So for some people, having abs, maintaining abs year round while still being quote unquote healthy, i.e., regular menstrual cycle, good relationship with food, able to perform really well. For some people, that comes pretty damn easy. Same thing when we think about glutes. If you're somebody who holds a lot of your body fat in your glutes, firstly, good for you, could never relate. But all of this is to say, even if you were to follow someone's exact protocol when it comes to training, nutrition, steps, sleep, stress management, the whole shebang, you still would not look like them. That is just a fact. And I'm not trying to be discouraging. I am truly trying to help you see the wood for the trees and to get you asking some deeper, more curious questions when you see people online, to make sure that you're not just buying from somebody because they have enormous glutes or because they have washboard abs. It's just not a good enough reason. And just because they have a good body, it does not mean they are a good coach. Number 3, toning workouts, or basically any kind of workout that says it's going to sculpt or snatch or blast belly fat or tone your arms. I just hate all of those words because it's marketing, and it's marketing predominantly geared towards women. So when we think about toning, right, we all know what that means, right? Whether it's actually possible or not, though, is another thing. So there is no such thing, no such concept as toning. You either build muscle or you lose muscle, and you either carry more body fat or less body fat. Those are the functions. That is it. Now, I really don't want to come across as pedantic here, because you could just argue, well, what does it matter? The word tone, everybody knows what it means, so why can't we just go with it, even if it's not technically a thing? Well, that's because there seems to be a hell of a lot of content going around at the minute that suggests by training in a certain way, you are toning a muscle, versus training in another way, usually just lifting heavy. Well, that route, that builds bulky muscle. So we want to avoid that. That narrative is not helpful because it is fundamentally untrue. You'll have likely seen the kind of long and lean approach. Do this for long, lean muscles. It's pretty genius. I'll give them that. But again, just complete bullshit. Long and lean basically means you have relatively high levels of muscle, which can only be built through some form of resistance training with relatively high effort, and bringing body fat down so that you can see said muscle. Whether that muscle looks long or not probably depends on the length of your limbs. If you are 6'2", with very little body fat and quite a lot of muscle mass, you're going to struggle to look bulky. If you're barely 5 foot, then of course your frame is going to look different. When we're thinking about muscle, they either get bigger and stronger or smaller and weaker. Pick which result you actually want. Spoiler, it's the first one. Number 4, 6-week shreds or 8-week transformations. It's always 6 or 8 weeks, isn't it? So there's a couple of sides to this. Firstly, 6 or 8 weeks of doing something objectively good, taking you from basically nothing to I am regularly moving, I am considering my nutrition a bit more, I'm walking a bit more, I'm getting some protein, and I'm thinking about my water and my sleep. Clearly, that is a good thing. I am not against the concept of having a short period of time where you can reset and refocus and get those healthy habits in check. There is also nothing wrong with a short, sharp fat loss phase. In fact, that is my preferred route, particularly if someone doesn't have a huge amount of body fat to lose in the first place. Why prolong a deficit any longer than you need to? The problem is, if you've done 5, 10, 15 challenges across your fitness lifespan, then you have to be considering whether that is a solid approach for you. If you're back there doing it again for the same results that you got last time, something isn't adding up. Or it might just be that you have the wrong strategy. Maybe you don't need to continue trying to lose the last couple of kilos. Real body composition change happens when we commit to the long-term process, when we commit to building that muscle mass first. And that happens with years of proper training, adequate food, and stable habits, not just like repeated crash diets every 6 months or so when you're feeling a little bit fluffy. Number 5, you can spot reduce body fat. I genuinely thought this one was dead, like dead in the water 2020. It's not, sadly. I'm seeing it everywhere, flashing up on the algorithm of how to reduce your lower belly pooch, how to get Pilates arms. It actually makes me shudder. How to fix your hip dips. All of these things that we've been told that we need to be insecure about. That there are problems that we needed to fix that we didn't even realize were problems in the first place until society started telling us that they were. I'm going to be really, really honest with you here. Let's say you're in a position where you know you're objectively not overweight. You feel a little bit kind of soft, a little bit fluffy. Maybe you want to tone up the bingo wings, right? Let's say you go into a deficit. Let's say you lose 3-4 kilos. It's really successful. You build the habits, you maintain it long term. You still may not have the arms of your dreams because frankly, a lot of this is down to where you store your body fat. Genetically, what your fat storage pattern looks like across your physique. And this is why, particularly for people in that camp, fat loss is just so fucking overrated. The best shot you have at getting those Pilates arms is by building as much muscle as you can, losing some body fat to reveal the muscle. That is quite literally the only mechanism that's going to get you there. And I can tell you, it is as sure as shit that you are not going to get there doing these 50 rep pulses or these imaginary chest flies with pink 1 kilo weights. It literally boils my blood. So if anyone is trying to sell a program based on reducing body fat in a specific area, run. And number 6, your metabolism is broken. Now, this one can actually feel extremely frustrating when you have lived a reality that is now no longer your reality. You can absolutely be forgiven for thinking something fundamentally has changed. And maybe it is that my metabolism is a little bit less than it was, to say, in my 20s. And actually, yes, something has fundamentally changed. And that is your lifestyle. When we think about metabolic health and metabolism slowing down, this is not relevant for someone who has a diagnosed thyroid condition, right? Clearly, that is a whole nother kettle of fish. But let's say you are otherwise metabolically healthy and under the age of 60. Your baseline metabolism hasn't drastically changed as a result of age. In fact, it stays pretty stable across your entire adult lifespan until around the 60 mark. And even at that point, we're talking less than 1% every year. It really isn't a dropping off of a cliff situation. Now, this is good news, really good news, because it means that you can absolutely boost that metabolism back up. And this is done through your exercise, through your overall daily movement, through your eating habits. Those are the things that move the needle. There isn't a supplement that can hack your metabolism. Drinking apple cider vinegar won't do it either. If you want to improve your metabolism, walk more, build some muscle, eat high protein and whole foods. Those are the things that are going to make the biggest overall difference. So as much as it saddens me to say, the fitness industry doesn't make money when women are feeling confident, secure, and educated. It makes money when you believe you're broken, your metabolism needs fixing, and that next program or that next challenge or that next booty builder workout will fix said problem. But on a positive note, I also know personally that there are hundreds and thousands of coaches out there who aren't choosing the easy route and who genuinely care about your results, your health, your relationship with food, with exercise, with your body. So some things you can look out for when you're trying to decipher what's real and what's bullshit. Look for people who say things like, it depends, because it does. The answer to almost every fitness question is, it depends. Look for people who are willing to change their mind. If they are questioned on something, they are not immediately defensive. They will ask to see the research. Please share that with me. I've not seen that. I'd love to, correct my thinking if I'm wrong. The last thing I want to be doing is giving incorrect information out to people when we're talking about their health. Look for people who are nuanced, who cite research and explain how one piece of advice might not fit with every single person, and instead a more individualized approach is needed. And if you're still not sure, you can always drop me a message, because I'm genuinely always happy to help. So if this hit home, please like and subscribe. I talk about this stuff all the time. And I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Have a good day. Love you. Bye.